The conclusions this Tuesday night of the foreign interference inquiry.
Nor have I seen any evidence to suggest that there are currently so-called traitors in Parliament.
What she says Ottawa needs to do better and what she believes are the biggest threats to Canadian democracy. The White House not backing down on the tariff threat.
February 1st to February 1st.
The potential relief plan for Canadian workers and businesses. The deepening appetite for DeepSeek, why tech experts warn against embracing the Chinese AI app. And a Canadian artist raising the stakes.
Well, it was difficult.
The meaty meaning of this raw dress.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The woman leading the inquiry into allegations of foreign interference in Canada has concluded no Canadian politicians have committed treason. In her final report, Quebec Court of Appeal Judge Marie-Josée Hogue says there is no evidence a hostile foreign actor changed the outcome of the last two federal elections. And there is no evidence of any traitors in Parliament plotting with foreign governments. She does say some foreign states, such as China and India, are trying to interfere in our democratic institutions. And she says disinformation, false information intended to mislead, poses an existential threat to Canadian democracy. David Akin has read the final report and has our top story. David.
Well, Donna, Commissioner Marie-Josée Hogue wanted, first of all, to reassure Canadians.
Foreign interference did not impact the outcome of the last two general elections.
And she contradicted a parliamentary committee's report from last June that had suggested some MPs had either taken money from a foreign government or passed classified information to a foreign government.
Nor have I seen any evidence to suggest that there are currently so-called traitors in Parliament.
But Hogue did have plenty of criticism for the way the federal government has tried to detect, deter, and counter foreign interference. The government, she said, takes too long to act on threats. Its information sharing processes are, quote, not as effective as they should have been.
But above all, I found that the government has been overall a poor communicator when it comes to foreign interference.
Hogue made 51 recommendations to improve things and believes a handful could be carried out right away before an election that is widely expected this spring. But many of her most important recommendations will need Parliament's approval. Hogue, for example, wants the rules tightened up around party nomination contests that she said were the gateway to foreign interference. But with Parliament prorogued and all three opposition parties vowing to bring down the government as soon as it resumes its work in late March, it will be up to the next government to follow through on most of her recommendations. The government did announce today nearly $75 million worth of new spending to boost the investigation capacity of the Chief Electoral Officer, for new programs to fight online disinformation, and to increase capacity at a government office that monitors attempts by foreign governments to interfere in Canadian politics. Hogue also noted that while the inquiry was prompted by allegations of political interference involving elected officials, she says misinformation and disinformation, mostly on social media networks, is the greatest threat. In fact, she called it an existential threat to Canadian democracy. Donna.
David, Global News was among those news organizations that broke some of the stories about foreign interference that prompted calls for this inquiry. Some of that reporting was based on leaked reports from sources in Canada's intelligence communities. What did she say about that?
The top secret classified intelligence that Commissioner Hogue reviewed supports some of the allegations Global News reported on. For example, Global News reported that agents from the government of China may have tried to influence the outcome of the Liberal nomination race in 2019 in the riding of Don Valley North. The commissioner confirmed there were multiple intelligence reports about that nomination race, though she says not all were firmly substantiated. Han Dong won that nomination and subsequently won the election, and has always denied knowledge of any foreign interference. Dong, though, would step out of the Liberal caucus after Global News reported on a conversation Dong had with a Chinese diplomat while the two Michaels were being held captive by China. Dong has acknowledged having a conversation, and the government released a public summary of intelligence relating to Dong's communications with Chinese officials. Hogue said she was unable to assess the accuracy of the government's public summary. But she did write that the classified information she reviewed corroborates Dong's denial of the allegation reported by Global News that he advised the Chinese diplomat to hold off releasing the two Michaels. Dong, Hogue says in her report, did not suggest that China extend their detention. Dong has said that he always advocated for the release of the two Michaels. Dong has sued Chorus Entertainment, the parent company of Global News, for its reporting, and that lawsuit has not yet been resolved. Donna.
David Akin in Ottawa. Thanks, David. Though she found no evidence foreign meddling impacted the overall results of the last two federal elections, the inquiry commissioner did say it happened, and she's calling on intelligence agencies and the federal government to urgently reform how they respond to it before the next federal election. Our Ottawa Bureau Chief Mercedes Stevenson is with me. Mercedes, what are you hearing?
Donna, for years we've heard concerns from individuals and community groups about influence and intimidation campaigns. Some fear that the report did not go far enough and that not enough is being done.
The report found that there's no so-called traitors, but it also found that there are a number of politicians who have made questionable decisions, who are in uncomfortable relationships with foreign countries. How do we address that?
When it comes to undue influence by foreign countries on Canadian politicians and our institutions, there are still concerns on what kind of action can and should be taken, particularly in connection with the countries of India, China, and Russia. The Ukrainian-Canadian Congress issued a statement today saying, quote, "Nothing in Justice Hogue's report will give Russia any pause to cease any of its threatening activities. This is disappointing."
Mercedes, Canada is headed for an election soon, possibly as early as this spring. How much confidence is there that it will be secure?
Varying degrees, Donna. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh came out today and said that he has ordered all of Hogue's recommendations be implemented by his party. Like Justice Hogue, he says that he is deeply concerned about false information.
The amount of misinformation that is available is rampant, and that is a serious concern for democracy and for an upcoming election.
Meanwhile, Minister of Democratic Institutions Ruby Sahota feeling better about things. She says the government has taken action to close vulnerabilities. And when it comes to the Liberal Party, she says that the party has closed some of the vulnerabilities by requiring changes on the leadership race, including that those voting in it must now have Canadian citizenship or at least permanent residency. She says her confidence is high.
I have complete confidence that this next election of 2025 will also be free and fair.
But Liberal leadership candidate and former Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland admitted the government has not done enough, saying, quote, "Canada could and should have done better. Within our own Liberal Party, we must take all action possible to root out any risks of foreign interference." She pledged to do more if she's elected, including declassifying key information about past foreign interference. The Conservative Party did not respond to our request for information about how they will be securing their nomination races, but the problem stands for all parties, Donna. Many of the nominations for who is going to run in the next election, which has been deemed one of the most vulnerable areas for foreign interference, has already happened. And those parties will have to figure out, the NDP, Liberals and Conservatives, how they will vet those who have already been selected. Donna?
Okay, Mercedes in Ottawa, thank you. Ontario's legislature was dissolved today, and a provincial election will take place on February 27th. Premier Doug Ford asked Ontario's Lieutenant Governor to dissolve Parliament this afternoon. Ontario does have fixed election dates, but Ford wants an early election. He claims he needs a new mandate to face Trump's tariff threat. Businesses across the country are bracing for what 25% U.S. tariffs on Canadian products could do to them. It could mean big losses and layoffs if American sales dry up. And the federal government is now considering pandemic-like relief payments to support businesses and workers. As Touria Izri reports, the White House signaled again today those tariffs could take effect this weekend.
It's a date Canada is trying to scratch off Donald Trump's calendar, but one the new White House press secretary says is firm.
As far as I'm still tracking, and that was last night talking to the president directly, February 1st is still on the books. The president has said that he is very much still considering that for February 1st. The February 1st date for Canada and Mexico still holds.
If the 25% tariffs are imposed, the federal government is considering a pandemic-like relief package for workers and companies, as first reported by the Globe and Mail. A source told Global News it will ultimately depend on the extent of Trump's decision.
We don't need Canada for that.
COVID-19 supports cost the economy hundreds of billions of dollars, and American tariffs could too.
We will be looking to try to ensure that those kinds of things do not significantly impact Canadian workers, Canadian companies. But this is a process. People should get ready for a bit of a bumpy ride.
The projections that we have seen indicate that this could be more serious for our provincial economy than the 2008 recession.
New money would likely require new legislation, and the business of the House of Commons is suspended until March 24th. Adding to the uncertainty.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Opposition parties say they'll vote no confidence in the minority Liberal government at the earliest opportunity.
Call the opposition leaders together if they're serious about it. Discuss that plan with us, the way we did during the pandemic. I've not seen any of that initiative.
Foreign Affairs Minister Marie-Josée is traveling to Washington. Tomorrow she'll meet with the new U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and make the case again against tariffs. This will be her 5th visit to the U.S. since Trump's re-election in November. Donna?
Touria Izri in Montreal, thanks. The provinces are also preparing for Trump's tariffs, and for some that has meant old ideas are new again, particularly around natural resources such as oil, natural gas and minerals. Nova Scotia's premier is among those resurrecting ideas that have long been dormant. Heidi Petracek explains what's on the table.
A lot of our zinc is hosted.
Tariff talk trumped this mining announcement in Saskatchewan as the federal minister emphasized the need to take stock of Canada's natural resources.
We are going to have to think more fulsomely as a country about how we try to reduce some of the dependence that we have on trade with the United States.
Leading some provinces to reopen commodity conversations once considered closed.
Safe onshore exploration of gas. I mean, there's a number of bans. We've banned a number of things in this province.
Uranium mining and fracking have been banned for years in Nova Scotia. The suggestion those bans could be lifted has come under fire.
We don't need to be opening up all of these things. We've already decided as a province we are trying to get to 20% protected areas.
We'll be seeing a lot of this from leaders across Canada, new projects, new justifications, and the word Trump in the same breath.
There's a renewed focus on natural resources from other premiers, too, in response to Trump's tariff threats. In some cases, even resurrecting ideas once left in the dust.
Why wouldn't we talk about Energy East? Why wouldn't we be talking about how providing energy security to our friends in Ontario and Quebec and Atlantic Canada?
The Energy East pipeline proposal was scrapped in 2017, and the company behind it has no plan to bring it back. But the tariff threat is triggering shifts in thinking.
What you're seeing right now is people reevaluating the economic fundamentals of a lot of our decisions. And probably one of those decisions will be how we get our energy.
Each province's natural resources now seen as both leverage and security as the specter of Trump's tariffs looms. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Halifax.
The soaring popularity of DeepSeek coming up, what experts say you should consider before downloading it. If you haven't downloaded it already, the big question is, should you? The Chinese artificial intelligence platform called DeepSeek is already the #1 AI assistant in the App Store. Anne Gaviola explains what you need to know about why it's disrupting the AI field and what you should think about before using it.
If you're trying to download the much-hyped DeepSeek chatbot, you'll have to wait. The Chinese company says due to large-scale malicious attacks, registration is busy.
It's obviously difficult to assess whether or not that was a real, genuine cyber attack, or if they've effectively limiting how many people are accessing it and where it's being deployed.
DeepSeek is the startup that's put bigger, deep-pocketed American companies like ChatGPT maker OpenAI, Microsoft, Anthropic, and Google on notice.
The release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries.
DeepSeek's open source model means anyone can look under the hood and see how it was built. allowing developers around the world to piggyback on existing technology. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman tweeted that's an impressive model, promising to deliver much better models.
We're talking about systems that are, potentially much smarter and much more capable than humans.
Analysts say it's fast-tracked the AI industry by 18 months to 2 years, but without proper guardrails.
Where we're not on track is with the mechanisms needed to actually ensure reliable control of these systems, or make sure that one way or another they stay sort of aligned with the interests of humans.
DeepSeek has limits, though. Ask about sensitive topics related to the Chinese government, like the Dalai Lama or the Tiananmen Square massacre. The reply, sorry, that's beyond my scope. Let's talk about something else.
I would be careful about downloading it.
There are cybersecurity concerns because DeepSeek sends user information directly to servers in China, where national security laws obligate firms to share information with the government.
It's still really early days, and we really don't know a lot about things like their privacy policy, ethical use of DeepSeek.
DeepSeek is free for now, and its business model isn't clear yet. Donna? All right, Angeviola in Toronto, thanks. Facing destruction ahead, a first-hand look at life in northern Gaza as hundreds of thousands of Palestinians return. Jordanian helicopters have begun deliveries of aid to Gaza, the first since the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas came into effect. The airlift involves 16 helicopter flights each day for 8 days. About 160 tons of food and medical supplies will be distributed by the World Food Program. Hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians have been allowed by Israel to return to their homes in the north. They have next to nothing. Israel does not allow foreign journalists into Gaza, so Global News has hired local journalists to gather interviews and help paint a picture of life in Gaza now. Redmond Shannon reports.
A biblical scene in the Holy Land. For the second day, thousands flood back to northern Gaza. Abdullah says he is returning to his home in Gaza City that was destroyed on the first day of the war 15 months ago.
I feel terrible, exhausted. I can't even walk anymore. I don't want anything from the world.
Global News spoke with 8 people heading north Tuesday. All said their homes are damaged or destroyed. Zainab says she and her family will live in the only room left standing in their house.
I lost my sister and all her children. I lost security, cleanliness, and peace of mind. How can we feel joy now?
Inland on Gaza's main highway, it's bumper to bumper, nose to tail. The war-weary and the optimistic, equally eager to get back home. Physiotherapist Najla says she can't wait to see her son, who stayed in the north throughout the war.
I have nothing left except my son, and I thank God for that.
So many Gazans say once they're home, they're staying put, despite suggestions from leaders in the US and Israel that people be moved to neighboring countries.
I just want to stay in my country. I only want my children to grow up, to learn, and to contribute to our land.
The rebuilding of Gaza will be a vast, years-long effort, but that is not a task for today, when for so many, even the hours ahead are filled with uncertainty. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
Next, Dress to Provoke, the meaty art exhibit on display in Montreal.
La conclusion s'impose, c'est celle qui est aujourd'hui révélée, oui, celle du projet Louvre, Nouvelle Renaissance.
The French president has announced a major renovation and expansion of the world's most visited museum. It's badly in need of repairs. The project at the Louvre will take up to 10 years, cost several hundred million euros, and will include a brand new entrance by the River Seine. The Mona Lisa will get her own dedicated space with a separate special entrance, and non-EU visitors will pay a higher entrance fee to help fund the project. The Louvre is fabulous, but you don't need a passport to get your art fix. There is plenty of it here in Canada. One acclaimed Canadian artist is generating a buzz with her exhibit in Montreal. Jana Sterbak is known for her complex work dealing with death and decay. As Amanda Jelowicki explains, she's bringing her controversial creation, a dress made of meat, back to life.
It's not a look for the sartorially shy. As raw materials go, the artist herself admits that stitching with steak has its challenges.
It was difficult. And I think that is what gives it extra power. And I believe that
Canadian artist Jana Sterbak's renowned work is the centerpiece of a new exhibit opening at Montreal's Musée des Hospitalières.
She's an artist who we need to keep looking at. And so here's an opportunity to really rediscover her work.
Sterbak first unveiled her meat dress in the 1980s. It sparked controversy when a reporter asked homeless people if the meat had a better use. Sterbak says many interpret her art differently.
a lot of people took it to be about animal rights, which was not necessarily my aim, nor was it my aim that it would be about feminism, as a lot of the copycats then had it labeled as. It was just an exploration of a material which was confrontational and unusual.
With assistance, she painstakingly remakes the dress each time it's on display. Weaving more than 25 pounds of heavily salted flank steak together, the meat aging slowly throughout the exhibition. Since Sterbak first unveiled her steak dress, many Hollywood stars have imitated it, including Lady Gaga. Flattering, she says, missing the point.
It's more about the limits of our freedom, the fact that we have a limited time. And so whatever we need to do, we have to know that there's only a certain time we can do it in, not forever.
In art, as in life, tastes may vary. Amanda Jelowicki, Global News, Montreal.
And that is Global National for this Tuesday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada is Sturgeon Creek in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Some mallard ducks just chilling there. We'd love to see Your Canada. Please email it to globalnational@globalnews.ca. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.